Hi, I'm Andrea Nevins, and I'm a documentary filmmaker and on the board of UNICEF here in Los Angeles. So I'm a volunteer, I'm not an in-country staff person.
I'm Ernie Allen. I'm the president of the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children and its sister organization, the International Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We have focused very strongly on the issue of child sex trafficking domestically in the United States, and internationally have been attempting to train law enforcement and build capacity in individual countries to more effectively address these kinds of problems.
And I am Caitlin Summerall, director of the film that you just watched, Shed No Tears, and also the director and a co-founder of Unseen Stories, which is the nonprofit that funded and produced the film.
My name is Joseph
Alvarado. I'm the humanitarian law coordinator for the Red Cross. I specifically promote a curriculum called Exploring Humanitarian Law. It's a teacher curriculum, free teacher curriculum for middle school and high school students designed to help introduce your students to concepts of humanitarian law.
That should be working if you can just flip it.
Hi, I'm Laura Jackson. I'm the Executive Director for National Safe Place, and we work with agencies and communities to bring Project Safe Place to their community, to bring Project Safe Place to the communities, to create safe places with businesses and community organizations where young people can go to access safety and related services. And we're in over 40 states and with over 18,000 safely sites.
Hi, good evening. My name is Ed Howard. I'm Senior Counsel with the Children's Advocacy Institute, which for 20 years, based out of the University of San Diego School of Law, has pursued public interest impact litigation, legislation, and public awareness to advance the causes of children. I'm the Institute's lobbyist in Sacramento, where I live, and also as Chief Counsel, and I work in Sacramento on behalf of the Institute, primarily in writing and supporting laws to benefit sexually exploited minors.
But you have your microphone is working as well. So why don't we begin with Caitlin and your journey in making this film and sharing a little bit of that with the community before we open it up for their questions.
I don't speak that loudly, so I definitely need a microphone. First, I want to say thank you to all of you who have attended the film. It is my first film festival as a director and the first film festival that Shed No Tears is in, so it's an exciting time for us, and so I just want to thank you guys for being here, and also to the Artivist community. This is the most perfect festival that Shed No Tears could be in, especially as our first festival, so I want to thank you for selecting it to be screened here. I started out about 4 years ago with a couple of friends of mine, and we created the nonprofit Unseen Stories. And our vision was to have an organization that would use documentary films to raise awareness about injustice. And so through some research and a lot of, batting some ideas back and forth, we came to the conclusion that we wanted to focus on child trafficking in West Africa, and that brought us to Benin. So that was 4 years ago. In 2007, 2008, we spent 6 months in Benin filming about 90% of the footage that you saw tonight. And then we went back in 2009 to do sort of a follow-up, raising awareness among the communities about what the individual villages could do to stop child trafficking. And so 4 years later, now the film is complete and we're screening it in as many places around the country as possible to raise awareness and hopefully not just make you guys aware of what is happening in Benin, but also to connect you with organizations that we're partnered with in Benin that are really on the ground doing the grunt work to stop child trafficking. There are easy things to do to prevent this problem, and the way that Unseen Stories is involved on the ground in Benin is with our 4 partner organizations. We provide school scholarships. You can go online or outside tonight and purchase one for $55. It's an entire year. It's tuition and a uniform, and that's one of the big things that we're doing to help formerly trafficked children. So that's it in a nutshell.
Now, it's wonderful what you said about basically connecting people with these NGOs and connecting people with these charities, and that's really what we try to do at the Artivist Film Festival. Is when we show these films and when the public comes and views them, it's really important that they be able to leave here tonight with sort of armed with the information of what they can do to be part of the solution. And I really would like for everyone to just take a little moment and talk a little bit more than just about your organization, but how the community can, right here today, get involved, become a member, support your organizations, support your NGOs, or perhaps what campaigns you may be currently working on. I think this is just a good opportunity to be able to share that with the audience today.
I apologize, I didn't explain what UNICEF is and what UNICEF does. It's the United Nations International Children's Fund and has been around since World War II. And what it does is it's on the ground in almost every developing country, I'd say every developing country, and has been for 40 years. And it creates a remarkable position for them to be able to work with the government and work with organizations, smaller organizations like Laura Vicuña, because they know that they're doing such good work. And it takes the money that you give here in the United States and funnels it to those very excellent organizations on the ground that are trusted by the people who live there and not something that's sort of been planted by the outside. That being said, particularly in Benin, I don't know whether you noticed, but there's that campaign for girls' education, which is a very important part of keeping girls from being trafficked. That's a UNICEF program. I believe the Laura Vicuña is also a UNICEF program. They have a program that they just started that's very successful right now in Benin, where because a lot of the parents in the small villages are illiterate. They don't know how to figure out how well their children are doing in school. And so they've just created a kind of monitoring system where they give parents a report card that has green and then yellow and then red. And that way the parents can kind of chart how the children are doing without having to read anything. And that kind of inspiration where the parents can encourage their children or push them a little bit harder without having to read through a report card and fully understand the language, really helps the children and the parents to keep these kids in school. So I encourage you to support UNICEF. I really believe that they do extraordinary work, and 90% or 90 cents of every dollar that you give goes directly to the field, to these programs. Thanks.
And UNICEF does have a table outside in the courtyard, so please make sure to stop by and grab some of the information that they've provided for the public there.
A couple of quick thoughts. Two things in Caitlin's movie really struck me. One was Burton's comment, I am not merchandise. What we are seeing and what we're battling in the United States and around the world is the fact that these kids are hidden victims. Most of the world doesn't see this problem, doesn't recognize this problem. And secondly, what we're seeing is the gross inadequacy of law and fundamental systems in place in much of the world. It was interesting that Luke, the trafficker, said, the law changed and I stopped trafficking. That's paraphrasing what your movie said. But the fact that Benin passed law for the first time outlawing this kind of behavior in 2006, I think is really telling. Most of the world still doesn't even criminalize this sort of behavior. And so one of the things we've done through our international center, and I would encourage you to go to our website, which is icmec.org, is we have reviewed, in partnership with Interpol, child sexual exploitation law in 196 countries. And we have found that in most countries on Earth today, most of this kind of behavior is not even a crime. So if we're going to deal with it, if we're going to build the capacity of governments and institutions at all levels to address it, first and foremost, it has to be a crime. It has to be illegal. We have to hold the people accountable for doing this. Burton made the point that he's not merchandise. And what we see with this problem around the world is that these kids are viewed as commodities. This is organized crime. Maybe not in the traditional sense, but it's organized nonetheless. So I would encourage you to learn more about what our organization is doing. Go to missingkids.com for our national organization in the United States and icmec.org internationally. We are great admirers of the extraordinary leadership of UNICEF in this area. There is important international documents and actions in place, like the UN Protocol and the Transnational Organized Crime Convention. The International Labor Organization has now mobilized 183 countries with a commitment to outlaw this kind of behavior by 2016. But while the grassroots is the ultimate answer to the progress that's been made in Benin, I think it's time to mobilize policymakers and institutions to attack it also from the top at the same time that we organize communities.
And Caitlin, if you can again share your website and the organization that you founded as well, so that people can, and I'm sure you also put some materials out there in the courtyard for them?
Yes, it's unseenstories.com, and we're on Facebook and Twitter. I'm responsible for Twitter. I'm not very good at it, but I'm trying to get better. But there's a table outside, and I will stick around as long as there are people to talk to. So there's shirts and DVDs, so feel free to stop by. I love to chat one-on-one for sure. So.
Hi, so the Red Cross doesn't specifically work on issues of human trafficking, but it is the fundamental core mission of the Red Cross to ameliorate human suffering, as well as serve anyone and everyone without discrimination to protect life and human dignity of everyone. And I'm not sure if many of you know this, but the bedrock of international humanitarian law was founded by the Geneva Convention, was founded through the Geneva Conventions by Henry Dunant, the same founder of the Red Cross. So the Red Cross takes the mission of protecting everyone, protecting life and human dignity during conflict very seriously. And it's the issue of conflict that's raised when we talk about human trafficking. We look at the seeds that are the origins of human trafficking, right? They come through social, political, economic conflict. It may not be conflict through arms, but you don't really need a theater with guns to define conflict. And when we look at the effects that happen through economic, social exploitation, the Red Cross takes this mission seriously. So we here at the LA region of the Red Cross, we promote humanitarian law classes to raise these issues. We take these issues to volunteers, we take them to the community, and as I said before, there's the Exploring Humanitarian Law curriculum that we have. So I myself can take these issues to your classroom. We don't deal solely on the issue of human trafficking, but we do talk about child soldiers. We talk about these issues through the lens of people that go through these events. So, thank you.
And actually, can you please just give us your website one more time?
Sure, redcross.org, and if you throw a /EHL, you can also find the free teacher curriculum.
And Red Cross also has a table outside and a booth out in the courtyard, so people can also pick up materials.
National Safe Place doesn't currently exist outside of the United States, and we do a lot of work with young people in this country. Domestic trafficking is just as vital an issue in the United States as it is internationally. And National Safe Place wants to provide access for young people to have places to go where in the event that they find themselves in a dangerous situation or in a traffic situation, that they can access safety, shelter, emergency shelter, and other related services. There's hundreds of thousands of young people that are trafficked in this country. And while it's becoming a rising issue in the United States, awareness has almost outpaced services and the ability to respond to young people. And so it's important also in the United States to encourage the government to raise the issue and to fund different resources for these kids. There are many places in the United States where it's still talked about in terms of teen prostitutes as opposed to teens who are prostituted, they're victims. Some folks talk about that it's the difference between a victim and a criminal is one day, it's your birthday. And so we work to create awareness around these issues and to create safe places across the country. So how do you become involved? Invite your community to be a safe place. It's a public-private partnership. We work with corporations and businesses across the country to be safe place sites and connect with agencies that can assist these young people. So it's an ongoing issue. And our website is nationalsafeplace.org.
I want to echo some of what you just heard. The problem of child trafficking is not just a problem that exists outside of the borders of the United States. Estimates are, of course, notoriously difficult to pin down, but we're talking about child trafficking. You're not talking about any old crime. You're talking about a crime that has the added dimension of destroying innocence. And as a 47-year-old lawyer, I can't be the face of that. So adequately enough to cause the kind of changes in social policy that we would all recognize as being halfway close to just. So I guess my request of you all is to make more art on this issue, because it's the art focused on this issue that helps people like me be able to make the barely adequate case for profound changes. To give you an example, by the way, of how the laws are still behind the times here, one of the bills that I mostly wrote and our organization sponsored is a bill that has created a pilot project here in Los Angeles County under the aegis of the District Attorneys Association to try and change the way that the girls are treated. You mentioned that they're called teen prostitutes. If you consider, for example, the ridiculousness of the way that statutory rape laws intersect with child prostitution laws, if I, as a 47-year-old man, have sexual relations that are completely consensual with a 16-year-old girl, it is immediately and universally accepted that I am the perp and she is the victim. She is not by law deemed able to consent to that. She can't sign a contract either. But if this young girl and the 47-year-old man engage in precisely the same sexual activity, but the man leaves money on the table, all of a sudden she becomes a perp, able to consent. The problem is really deep-seated here, and my request is please make more art. Thank you.
And if you could just give us your website one more time for the Children's Advocacy.
Part of the other thing about being 47 is that I'm looking for so it's kindchildlaw.org. If you plug in Children's Advocacy Institute, it'll come up. I made everything on the website wrong, so sorry.
Actually, since you think you got the website wrong, I have it right here.
Thank you.
www.caIchildlaw.org.
I got it.
Okay. So, do we have any questions from the audience for any of our speakers on our panel tonight? Yes, please.
Did you have any problems filming with regards to the government, the police, and the locals in terms of they want to take your camera here, put you in jail?
In terms of safety. The question was, did we have any trouble filming with the government or just people in general? No, we had to go get a permit, which is a government agency that hands those out. They were very skeptical, but fortunately we found a translator who was an excellent negotiator and sort of negotiated us out of any sticky situation that we came across, which were a few. As far as the people, most of the organizations that we worked with and filmed interviews with, they definitely were skeptical you know, that some of them had even had film crews come in, promise, you know, to come back and help the community, and then they never did. So there was sort of this track record of, you know, negativity surrounding filmmakers, anyone carrying a camera, that we wouldn't come back and that there was no benefit to them, that we were just going to take. So again, Martin, who's our country director now and was our translator then, he negotiated and we were able to film, and I think there was only one organization that said no. So, but as we started filming with other organizations, they sort of changed their tune.
Did the government collect a fee, a June fee?
They did, yes. It was small. But yeah, we didn't have any trouble with the government, actually. They were, you know, they welcomed us as long as we, you know, didn't shoot in areas we weren't supposed to, which, yeah.
And any more questions? Yes, ma'am. Can you please rise so that we can hear your question?
My question is, how likely is it a victim of child trafficking when they grow older to become a trafficker themselves? And how do you combat that? I mean, I look at routine. I could only imagine that kind of, you know, experience having a real influence on you as an adult. Just wondering how likely that is domestically and internationally.
Sure, I'll answer for Benin. It was actually a big issue that we came across. A lot of organizations told us that it was a cyclical thing, that a lot of children, if they grew up in a trafficking situation, if they were never rescued or anything, they would, in turn, it's sort of like a mob. You kind of start at the ground level and work your way up. Fortunately, none of the kids that we spoke with, you know, they're fine, they're safe. Anything else for domestically?
So that's a really smart question. The way that domestically sexually exploitation of minors, sexual exploitation of minors, takes place, first of all, it's not, you know, the sort of stereotype of the one lump. You know, this is organized crime gangs are increasingly getting into this because it's extraordinarily profitable. The $32 billion is the estimate. The internet's facilitated it, unfortunately, but it's a really penetrating question because a lot